This video is part of my music magazine industry research. In this video, I will be detailing the music magazines owned by the publishing companies Bauer and IPC Media, the subgenres and costs of these magazines, and finally whether they cater for mass or niche audiences. The first music magazine publishing company I will look at is Bauer, who own the music magazines Kerrang, Mojo and Q. The first music magazine I will look at, which is owned by Bauer, is Kerrang. Kerrang has the subgenres of being an indie rock magazine and a rock magazine. It costs £2.20 to buy in the shops and is a mainstream magazine. The reason for it being a mainstream magazine is entirely due to the fact that the subgenres of indie music and rock music have a wide audience demographic. The next music magazine I will look at, which is owned by Bauer, is Mojo, which according to ABC's website has a subgenre of being a rock magazine. It costs £4.50 to buy in the shops and is a mainstream magazine, and this is entirely due to the fact that the subgenres of rock consist of a large audience demographic, and the circulation figures for this magazine, which are 98,484 on average per issue, justify the claim of this being a mainstream magazine. The final music magazine that I will look at, which is owned by Bauer, is Q. The difference between Q and the other music magazines owned by Bauer is that it doesn't have a subgenre. It is a general music magazine. It costs £3.90 to buy in the shops and is mainstream. And the obvious reason for it being a mainstream magazine then is as it has no subgenres, it is just music in general. It will cover a large audience demographic, which would make it a mainstream magazine. Now that I have looked at the music magazines which the publishing company Bauer owns, I will now move on to look at the music magazines that are produced by the publishing company IPC Media. The first music magazine that IPC Media produce is Guitar and Bass. Guitar and Bass has a subgenre of being a practical and playing music magazine. It has a cost of £3.95 per issue from the shops and is a niche magazine. And the reason why I believe it is a niche magazine is because it only has a low circulation figure of 12,175 copies on average per issue. The next music magazine that I will look at, which is owned by IPC Media, is NME. NME, according to ABC's website, is a rock magazine. It costs £2.20 to buy in the shops and is a mainstream magazine. And the reason for it being a mainstream magazine is because it comprises of the subgenre of rock, which in itself has many different subgenres. And this means that the magazine then has a mass audience which will buy its content. The last music magazine which is produced by IPC Media is Uncut. Uncut has a subgenre of being a rock magazine. It costs £4.30 to buy in the shops and is a mainstream magazine. And the reason for this magazine being a mainstream magazine is because it has such a large audience which will buy its content, and this is entirely due to the fact that alongside being a rock magazine, which brings with it a wide audience in itself, it is also a film magazine, meaning that a whole new target demographic is opened up for this magazine, making it a mainstream magazine. This brings me to the end of my first magazine industry research video. The second of these videos will be uploaded to my blog